We're now going to model the next part, which is the M5 shoulder screw. As always, we're going to start a standard millimetre IPT, and from looking at this part we're going to model it by doing a revolve. So the first thing we're going to do is start a sketch, and I'm going to choose the XY plane. With a revolve, the first thing we want to do is put in a centre line. It needs to be at least the height of what we're going to revolve. And you'll notice it didn't change the format of the line, but with Inventor that's fine, we'll change it afterwards. I'm just going to fit to page. Now I'm going to start doing the sketch geometry. So as with everything else on Inventor, we keep our sketches nice and simple, and we'll detail it afterwards. So there we go. And what I've done is I've snapped it to the centre line so that I can use this dimension for the line as the dimension for the length of it. Now I'm going to add the dimensions on here. So we've got a 6mm part there, and then a 12mm diameter part here. And we know that this depth here is 5mm. So now our sketch is fully constrained, and in our status bar we can see that it says fully constrained down here. Now I'm going to hit R for revolve, and because I've already given it a centre line and a profile, of course Inventor's picked that up for us, so I'm just going to hit OK. Now there is an undercut, so I'm going to put in another sketch on the XY plane, so I'm going to hit Create 2D Sketch, or the S button for the hotkey. Put another sketch on there, and if you press F7 it actually slices the graphics, so now you can see we're on the XY plane, so we can see half of it. And I'm now going to project the geometry, because obviously I need to use this to do our cut. So there we go. We know that the undercut is 0.25 radius, so of course it's diameter of 0.5. And I'm just going to zoom in there, and then we're going to do a dimension from the top to there. And what we're going to do is make it half of this, so it doesn't matter if we change this, it will always be at the radius from underneath there. And now I'm going to use the revolve button. It's picked up the profile, of course, but didn't know what the axis was, so I'm actually just going to use the y-axis in there, and it's already defaulted to cut because it knows we're trying to cut the material away. So I'm just going to hit OK. That's our undercut done. I'm now going to put the aluminium key hole in the top, so S for sketch, onto the top profile. I have this tool here which I haven't used yet, which is the polygon tool. So it works very similar to the circle. It's a centre point start, and then you click to the outside. And I'm going to change it. Well, it defaults to 6, and we're trying to draw a hexagon, so that's absolutely fine. And I'm going to draw it in line here, so just to match the drawings. And we know that the dimension is 1.8 from here to here, so I'm going to add that one in. And you can see that it's one dimension needed because it doesn't actually know whereabouts this should be fixed, so I'm going to add a constraint onto there. So I'm going to use the horizontal constraint and do it on this line here, and now we can see it's gone blue, so the sketch geometry is fully constrained, and that's also confirmed down here in the status bar. Going to extrude that 2.5mm deep, so cut that into there. There's also a radius, so I've just hit F for fillet, and there's a radius on the top there of 0.5mm. So I just add that whilst we're here. You can see we've done most of it, and it's now just the threads we need to add on to the bottom there, so we'll go ahead and do that next. We're going to do another sketch on the XY plane, so sketch, XY plane. Remember earlier I said F7, so that slices the graphics. I'm going to project the bottom face and this side face here, so we can start doing these screw cutaways. So we know that the first part is actually 10mm from the top, so we're going to basically just sketch in to start with the thread for 1, and then we're going to what's called pattern it down, and I'll show you how to do that. Dimension it afterwards, so the first thing is a little cutaway, and then down, and then up. We're just going to do it like this, so it's very rough as you can see, and we're going to now dimension it. So like I said, this one here is 10mm. And we got this one here is at 0.2, and I'm going to use the equals constraint, and the hotkey for that is the equals button. I'm just going to make, because this is 0.2 also, I'm going to copy that across just there. This one is 60 degrees, so I'm going to add that in. And we've got this dimension here is, actually we're going to align them first horizontally, so this one here with this one here. And then I'm going to add the dimension. Need to zoom in a little here. So we know it's 5mm, and this outer one here is 6mm, so that'll be 0.5. We're going to put this dimension in here, which is 1.4. And you can see this here, so I'm going to add equals to these two lines. And now you can see we're fully constrained just down here. The revolve button, and it's already picked that up, and then we just need to select the axis, which we know from earlier is the y-axis. And obviously I'm going to change this here to cut, and I'm going to hit OK. So now you can see we've got one cut, and there is actually a pattern function. There's two. There's a circular pattern and a rectangular pattern. Because we want to copy this cut linearly downwards, we're going to use the rectangular pattern. So the first thing that happens when you hit rectangular is it asks what features you're trying to pattern, and as we know it's the one we just picked. So we can either select it here in the workspace, or we can even go into the browser and select it in there. The second thing it says, okay, which direction am I patterning this in? And you can of course do two, so if you think about it, in one in the X and one in the Y, but we only need to do it in one direction, so I'm going to use the Y-axis as my reference, and you can see it's given us a preview here of what it's going to look like. And it defaults to two occurrences in 10mm. Now, just be clear, the occurrence includes the one you're patterning. So, if I want, for example, 4, then I type in 4, not 3, because I already have 1. So you can see it's going in the wrong direction. So we're going to flip that using this, and we don't actually need 2 through 10mm. We need 8 with a spacing of 1.2mm. Because that will give us the edge. As you can see there, it's going to do it, but actually we need 9 to get rid of the end bit, so just chuck that in. And if I hit OK, there you can see that's done all of it for you. So you can see the pattern tool is very useful for when you are doing the same feature over and over again. It's very useful, very quick. So now all we need to do is add the material to this part here. So we're going to go ahead and do that right now. So of course you can change it up here, or you can go into iProperties, which can also be found in the application menu. Scoot across to the physical tab. Go ahead and change that to stainless steel, and hit OK. And there we have it. That's the part completed.